Hey everyone, welcome back to Making the Change and everything. So what I'm compelled to speak of right now is a passage out of Numbers, and this is a part where Moses and them have already left Sinai and they're headed to Canaan, and right now they're on another journey, and through this point and everything where Moses was able to take the people out of Egypt and bring them to the land of milk and honey as the Lord promised. During this time, they're having to do several journeys. They're having to stop, they're having to wait, they're having to stop, they're having to wait, they're having to go through different places, and each way they're running out of provisions, food, water, and everything. So at this point right now, they're hungry. They have a very strict hunger, as it says right here. We find it right here, a strong craving, which means they're hungry. They're dying of food as they feel, and they're complaining about it. They're complaining that because we left Egypt, we've lost all this food, and so they're not putting faith on God will provide. And so the Lord becomes angry at this, and he consumes the camp with fire and starts to burn the camp, because if they're not going to have faith in him, what more so should he give them this land, the Israel land? And Moses prays to them and prays to God and everything, and God allows him to say, there will be meat, I will provide, and everything. And through this, and at the end, Moses talks to God again and says to God, this burden is too heavy. If you will treat me like this, kill me at once. And so this is where Moses is that Moses is at the point that, I'm doing what you want me to do, Lord, but I can't take how these people are acting. I can't take how they cast this judgment, or they cast this complaints to me as though that I have this power, but you have the power. And so he asks God to take the burden off of him. And he does. Later on through chapter 11 in Numbers, it talks about how God allows Moses to appoint people, and he takes some of the spirit of this work over to these people. So God takes the spirit off, some of the burden off of Moses, and puts it onto these new priests that he appoints. So here's the thing about this passage is, one, the complaining and everything. If we have such faith in a God that is all-powerful, omnipotent, and everything, all-knowing, everything, has a grantuitive amount of power, why do we still complain? If we have provision already, why are we complaining? As in, my car's not the greatest. So what? You have a car. My house is not the greatest. You have a roof over your head. I don't have a lot of food, but you do have food. So the thing is that through this right here, do not complain. If you have faith in God, that means you have no room for complaints. Because if you have faith in God, that means God will provide, because you know that God is there for you, that he is not going to allow you to be stricken and without. No matter what aspect you're in your life, no matter what the situation, God provides. It's when we're lacking that faith and start to complain. It's when God says, what is the point in me helping you when you're going to complain? Just like he did with the Israelites here, several times they've already complained to Moses and everything, and about, well, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? Instead of saying, how am I going to get this? How am I going to eat? How am I going to drink? How am I going to, anything? It should be, God, I am hungry. I wait for you. God, I am thirsty, I wait for you. God, I am homeless, I wait for you. It's the fact of giving that faith and telling God, I trust you enough to know that you're going to take care of me, and that this is just a point in my season that I'm in to strengthen me. And, we fail the test if we're going to complain instead of put the faith on God. And another point is this also shows how much God takes the burden off. Moses was having so many burden issues with this, of having to be the overseer of these people to lead them, and it was starting to stricken him because he was becoming weak with it. And so because he asked God that, hey, I have so much burden on this, I am weak to this, I need help. And God gave him help. Instead of Moses being the one to always speak and to prophesy and everything, it goes on where, Joshua, one of his main assistant, which is his half brother, or his brother. It shows here, or not Joshua. I'm sorry, that would be Aaron. But Joshua, his assistant, the one who led the army, he comes to Moses and says, these men are prophesying in the camp, and Moses is like, it's okay, because they're taking this for me. They're doing this for me to where they can reach more than I can because I am weakened in this situation. So just remember, one, keep the faith in God. No matter what you feel like you're without, God is going to provide for you in some way. So giving him the faith will allow God to say, you have shown your faith, so let me show you my provision for you. And then on top of it is let God know your burden. God knows that there's only so much we can take. But that's the thing, is that God knows how much we can take. So maybe in a certain situation, God says, you got to deal with this burden because I know you can do it. You're strong enough. Don't complain that I have so much of this burden. But when God knows that you can't do it, he's going to help you through it. I just rhymed there, so that was pretty cool. But anyway, just remember, don't complain, give faith. Through every aspect of the journey, whether God puts you farther and then makes you stop, puts you farther and then makes you stop, just like the Israelites, remember that he's doing it and he's with you and that he's going to provide for you. And he's going to take the burden off of you when he deems necessary. So that's how it works. But remember, you have a loving God that one expects of us the faith, but also provides. He is our provision. He is our mighty God. So just remember that. And again, today was out of Numbers chapter 11 and everything. So if you want to take a look at that verse, go right ahead. Prayers and love to all of you all. Bye.